Welcome to Bhagavad Bhagavad Gita class and Kirtan of a Monday night here in Hawaii. And we'll get started on our Kirtan.
Did you want all of this?
I did put all of them there, yeah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Niti Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Haribol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Haribol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Haribol 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 Haribol 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 Nitai Gaur Haribol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Haribol Nitai Gaur Haribol Haribol Nitai Gaur Nitai Gaur Nityananda Nityananda Gauranga Haribol Nityananda Gauranga Haribol Nityananda Nityananda Gauranga Haribol Nityananda Gauranga Haribol Nityananda Nityananda Gauranga Haribol Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare
Shishima Jigakuru Siddhasarupananda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajagasatara Sata Shishima. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Gaura Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prema Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhattavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakul Ki Jai. Nitai Goswald Mission Ki Jai. Navadvita Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhani Ki Jai. Vrindavandam Ki Jai. Mathuradam Ki Jai. Mayapodam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakul Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakul Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Amagina Timarandasya Gina Gina Shilakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Statpitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Tadati Swapadantekam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavams Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanshakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanan Pavenbhyo Vaishnavbhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Niti Namine. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahansa Namine. Gaura Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prastayate. Before speaking, first I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagatguru Siddhasarupananda, Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, and very dear to Radha and Krishna, Radha Krishna Prastayate. And I offer my respects to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who lie wish-fulfilling trees, full of compassion upon the fallen souls. Hare Krishna. So today is the disappearance day of Srila Haridas Thakur. And while I was reading in the Vaishnava app the short summary of some of the life and some of the pastimes of Srila Haridas Thakur's appearance and his time here on the earthly planet. I was considering how Lord Chaitanya was like essentially a social revolutionary. In fact, in Bengal, India, when Lord Chaitanya is considered, he's considered as a social, a social revolutionary. I was reading the other day actually that he was also considered as like, the first person in India to, go the path of peaceful resistance, like non-cooperation. So when like the Qazi in Navadvip, Nadia, banned them from the Sankirtan movement, and then Lord Chaitanya, gathered all his followers and disciples, and they went and chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and did kirtans with madangas, and then even went to the Qazi's house. So there was no violence involved. This was like a peaceful demonstration, like non-cooperation. So this is, Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, followed in Lord Chaitanya's footsteps in the non-violent social agitation for change. And more particularly, Lord Chaitanya, he named Haridas Thakur as the Namacharya, the Acharya of the holy name. And this is like a huge deal, because Haridas Thakur was born in a Muslim family. And so in very caste-conscious India, it's like for a Hindu to associate with a Muslim was like, unheard of. So like there is the caste system, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas and the Shudras, and then there's just the great unwashed outside of the whole caste system, and the Muslims were considered to be the great unwashed, Yavanas or Mlechas, outside the caste system, and to associate with them, one could lose one's caste for a proper Hindu gentleman. And Lord Chaitanya was born in a Brahmana family. His father, a strict Brahmana, and so Lord Chaitanya, would, in strict Hindu society, would be considered to lose his caste if he associated with a Muslim. So this is, quite very significant that Lord Chaitanya, was full of great awe and respect for Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, and gave him the name, the Namacharya, the Acharya, the holy name. And similarly, Lord Chaitanya, he associated and accepted as his disciples Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, and they were actually, whilst they'd been born in very good families, good Hindu families, they actually went and served the Muslim king, and in this way they were considered to have lost their caste, their birthright. So again, so Lord Chaitanya was very much, a social revolutionary in terms of medieval India at this time, in the 15th and 16th centuries. And in Lord Chaitanya's teachings, he taught that anyone could become a spiritual master. Anyone could become a Vaishnava or a Brahmana. The teachings that a Vaishnava is above a Brahmana. This is like, to the caste Brahmins, this is just an anathema, like unheard of, inconceivable, absolutely and totally not acceptable. So Lord Chaitanya was very radical, actually, from a social level, not just from his spiritual teachings, where he's teaching love for Krishna and broke open the storehouse of prema bhakti, and how he is Shrimati is Gauranga, golden limbed one. Krishna himself covered in the mood and complexion of Shrimati Radharani. So not only is Lord Chaitanya a spiritual revolutionary, but he was also, a social revolutionary. And so this struggle between the caste system, the smarta brahmanas, and the Vaishnavas, this continued on for many centuries. There was a big debate at one time, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there was a debate between the smarta brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, the smarta brahmanas arguing that the Vaishnavas were not bona fide, that the highest in society is the smarta brahmana, the brahmana, higher than a Vaishnava. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, of course, being fully qualified to debate on this topic, he felt restrained from doing this because his Diksha Guru, Bipin Bahari Goswami, was actually on the wrong side of this argument, supporting the caste brahmanas. And so sort of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was like in desperation saying, is there no one who can go and debate them? And his son, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, went to this debate and argued on the side of the Vaishnavas. And this debate went on for a couple of days. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, there's a book where it's published. First of all, glorified the Brahmanas, and then completely refuted the idea that the Brahmana is superior to the Vaishnava, that the Vaishnava has all the good qualities of a Brahmana, someone who utters the names of Krishna is superior to a Brahmana. Of course, not from a material, social level, but we're talking here on a spiritual level. And so even after Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur so authoritatively, established this truth, still even when Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada came to the West and started accepting disciples, and then actually started to give second initiation or Brahman initiation to his disciples, even many of his godbrothers were horrified at this idea, and certainly the smarta brahmanas were very horrified. And Acharyadas tells the story of how Puri Maharaj at some point told Acharyadas this story, but like that, one time Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada had his disciples in Vrindavan, and he'd organized a feast and had invited his godbrothers, his disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to this feast. And after the different, whatever the event was, and then the prasadam was being served, all of these godbrothers of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, they all begged off for one reason or another. They had to go and do this, or they had to go and do that. And so actually they were leaving because they didn't want to eat the food that was prepared by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami's disciples, because they were Westerners. And but in time the Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's godbrothers realized that this was incorrect, and this was Puri Maharaj explained this to Acharya Das, and so now it is fully accepted that Vaishnavas from the West are Vaishnavas, bona fide Vaishnavas, and if they have received second initiation, that they are bona fide brahmanas. So all of this began with Lord Chaitanya and with his association with Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur, whose disappearance day it is. And so nicely with, of course in Jagannath Puri, Muslims are not allowed within the Jagannath temple. So Haridas Thakur used to live, away from the temple, but where he could see, the dome and the spire and the flags flying from the temple. And so although Haridas Thakur could not go into the temple to see Lord Jagannath himself, in other words Lord Chaitanya, would come and bring Haridas Thakur prasadam from the temple. So in Bhagavad Gita, we're up to text 19, chapter 2, text 19. So Krishna says, Yainam vetihantaram, yashainam manyate hatam, ubautau na vijanita, nayam hanti nahanyate. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain, is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it is slain, is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. So nayam hanti nahanyate, na is never, ayam this, hanti kills, na nor hanyate is killed. The self slays not, nor is slain. So the living entity, the soul, is never slain, and nor is he a slayer, because you cannot kill a soul. Right? So there's never any slaying. So some points here, after 2:18. So in 2:18, Krishna said to Arjuna, the material body, the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity, is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. So then, after Krishna has said this, then Arjuna could have the thought that although he shouldn't grieve for anyone lost in the battle, still the sins arising from killing others will be his. So okay, we can understand that, all right. He shouldn't grieve for anyone who's lost in the battle, anyone who's killed, because obviously the body's going to come to an end. And as Krishna said right in his first verse, where he's instructing Arjuna that the wise, the pandits, the pandit doesn't lament for the living or the dead. Nanu so shanti panditaha. So the pandit doesn't lament for the living or the dead. So Arjuna can have this thought, but then Arjuna could think, well, okay, but there's no rule saying that one will be free from the sin of killing another as long as he doesn't grieve for the loss. So basically Krishna is telling him, well, you shouldn't grieve. But then Arjuna could have this thought in his mind, well, that there's no rule in Shastra or Scripture that could say that one will be free from the sin of killing another as long as he doesn't grieve for their loss. Right, so it's a bit of a question here that Arjuna is raising. So then Krishna can speaks this verse 219 to address Arjuna's concern. That neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. So no one is slain. So Krishna in this verse, he's addressing three erroneous notions. So that the two sort of ones that are most obvious is the idea that the soul can kill someone. You cannot kill someone. Right? The soul is indestructible, immovable, immutable. And Krishna said in 2:17, that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. In 2:16, Krishna said, those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. That which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable self. The material body, the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore fight, O descendant of Bharata. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain, is in knowledge, for the self slays not, nor is slain. So Krishna is making very clear that it's just erroneous or false, ignorance to think that the soul can be killed. The soul cannot be killed. So, we can all kind of understand this. It's kind of like, okay, I get it. All right. The soul is eternal. Aham brahmasmi. I'm spiritual in essence. So when I die, just my body dies, like the machine, right? We all know the different examples of the machine breaks down, so that's just like the body dying. You get another one. Or in my class last night on Yoga Kirtan Hawaii, talking about in chapter 2, text 22, Krishna likens it to the change of body to just like getting a new set of clothes, right? Nobody laments when their clothes get holes and get all threadbare and dirty and stained, and it's like, okay, well, I have to get a new set of clothes. So that's what the change of body is like, just changing clothes. So we can all understand this concept. We've all heard it many, many times, and understood it from our spiritual master. We at least have a solid mental understanding and scriptural understanding. We've all hopefully read Bhagavad Gita and studied this chapter 2 and like, okay, I get it. Yep, I get it. Okay. So that was kind of easy. But then the next idea, the next sort of erroneous notion is that the soul can kill someone. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, so the soul can't kill someone. So you sort of go, well, but wait a minute, I can kill someone, right? I can kill someone's body. But here Krishna is making it clear, no, that neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it is slain, is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. So to think that the living entity is the slayer means that you are not in knowledge. Right? And Krishna says, Ubao tau na vijjanita. So ubao is both tau, they na, never. Vijjanitaha are in knowledge. So if you think that you have slayed someone, you're in ignorance. This is an erroneous conclusion. You cannot kill someone. You may kill the body, and I'll speak more about in a moment, as Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami emphasizes, that this is not, this verse of Krishna's doesn't mean you can go around killing people. No, just the opposite. But the idea that you could think that you are killing someone is actually a false notion. You can only kill the body. You cannot kill the soul. The soul cannot be killed. So to think that you have killed someone is a false notion. So then the third false notion, or erroneous notion, is that the self is an independent doer. Right? The idea that we are acting independently. So this is ahankara, false ego. The idea that not only is false ego the idea that I am this gross material body and I identify with this gross physical body, but it's also the sense that, that I am an independent doer. Because we are not an independent doer. And Krishna makes this clear in chapter 3, text 27, where Krishna says, the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So this is ahankara, right? Ahankara vimudatma kataham kataha miti manyate. So under the influence of the false ego, the spirit soul thinks himself the doer of activities, the kataham, the doer. So ahankara, right, is this, ahankara is the sense that I am the doer. But actually it's a false sense. So, and why is that? Because these, the activities are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. We're driven by these three qualities, the three material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So Krishna then further expands upon this idea in text 8 to 9. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. In other words, that he is not the doer. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them. So in other words, the realized soul realizes that this is just, everything that's going on is just the activities of the body. Actually, I'm spiritual. I'm spiritual in essence. I have nothing to do with this material body. Even though, I'm seeing, I'm hearing, I'm touching, I'm smelling, I'm eating, I'm moving about, I'm going here and there, I'm sleeping, I'm breathing. The person in divine consciousness, the self-realized souls, he always knows within himself that actually he's doing nothing at all. Why is that? Because he's spirit soul. He has nothing to do with this temporary material body. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them. And then in 5:14, Krishna says, the embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So the modes or qualities of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. We receive bodies that are made up of different quantities of this goodness, passion, and ignorance. In fact, the all Ayurvedic medicine is based upon analyzing a person's body and understanding under which mode of material nature is predominant, which is influencing them. Different species of life are considered to be in different modes of nature. Different times of the day, different modes of nature are prominent. So early in the morning, it's like a good time for spiritual meditation and practices, because it's like the mode of goodness is predominant. As the day gets going, it's kind of like, the mode of passion starts to kick in. I get active. I need to get stuff done. I got to get stuff done, man. Then at night, it's like, we get into ignorance and ultimately just go to sleep. Total ignorance. So ignorant we lose consciousness in effect. So on this idea, I wanted to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Volume 1. And this is the story of Jadabharata. So he, Maharaj Bharata, I'm sure you all know the story. It's narrated here in the 5th canto. But Maharaj Bharata was the emperor of the world. And, in accordance with the Indian system, the Varnashrama system, Krishna's system for organizing society, towards the end of his life, he gave up his kingdom and trusted it to his children and went into the forest, the Vana, to engage wholeheartedly in the practice of self-realization. And, being a kind-hearted devotee, one day, like he has his simple hut in the forest. And then one day there's like I think it was either a tiger or a lion roared, and a pregnant deer sort of suddenly got scared and jumped and gave birth to the baby deer and then ran off. And Jadabharata, being a soft-hearted devotee, began to take care of Maharaj Bharata began to take care of the baby deer, and he became very attached to it. And in time, while he's, you may experience this yourself, you're chanting your japa, but actually you're thinking about someone else, thinking about your spouse or your child, or if you've got a dog or a cat, you're thinking about the dog or the cat, right? So then he starts thinking about, how will the poor little deer eat? How will who can take care of the deer if I can't take care of the deer, And the deer would, while he's trying to engage in his spiritual practices, the deer would nuzzle up to him. And, and then Maharaj Bharata would begin to stroke it, to pet it. So he became very much in deer consciousness. And then the deer disappeared. So he went looking for the deer. And then sort of in misery, filled with thoughts of the deer, he left his body. He then took birth as a deer, but Krishna blessed him with the ability to recall his past life as Maharaj Bharata, and then he was aware of what had happened, because he'd gotten into deer consciousness instead of Krishna consciousness, instead of going to the spiritual world, which is why he'd given up. He'd given up. He was the emperor of the world. He'd given it up. Left his wife and children and gone to the Vana to engage in austerities and spiritual practices. But instead of achieving the proper result of such activities, he became attached to a deer. And so then took birth as a deer. And but in this deer body, he was able to remember what he'd done, and so he went and lived near an ashram where there were holy sadhus chanting the names of God, and he just stayed around there, and then finally he gave up the deer body, and then he took birth in a family of brahmanas, and he had nine elder brothers This Brahmana had 2 wives. The first wife had 9 sons, and then the second wife had twins, a son and a daughter. And so one of these twins was Jarabharata. So this Brahmana tried to educate Jarabharata, but he had decided that he was just, after his experience of living as a deer, he was just, and realizing the mistake he'd made of becoming attached, he had decided he was just not going to relate. Right? So his father, being a good man and taking his duty seriously, tried to educate Jarabharata in the habits and practices of being a Brahmana, and even gave him Gachi initiation and was trying to teach him all kinds of stuff. But Jarabharata was just like not interested and deliberately did stuff wrong, and rarely said anything or did anything, just acted like a simpleton. So then his father passed away, and his mother, as was done at that time, which was a prohibited practice in Kali Yuga, she, went with her husband. In other words, she committed sati on the fire of the funeral pyre, and went with her husband. And so the other wife was left, and the 9 brothers, and these 9 brothers, they just mistreated Jarabharata, and they just had him go and be take care of the animals in the field, be like an animal watchman. And Jarabharata was very happy to do this. He didn't mind what he was fed. He was just completely absorbed in self-realization, realization that he's spiritual in essence, aham brahmasmi. And then one night, some dacoits, they wanted to sacrifice a man-animal before the goddess Bhadrakali, and so they had someone, and they were going to take him, but he managed to escape. So then they found Jarabharata. So they grabbed him and took him along, and were going to sacrifice him to Bhadrakali, the goddess Bhadrakali. And but she then, just as they were about to do it, she then broke out of the deity form that they were going to sacrifice him to, and with her associates, she then killed all these dacoits, and they began, cut off all their heads, and they began using their heads as if they were balls and throwing them around. So anyway, so after this, then Jarabharata was wandering around, and then there was a king, Maharaj Rahaguna, coming along, and he was being carried in a palanquin. And the palanquin carriers, they needed another person to carry the palanquin. So they saw Jarabharata and thought, oh, well, he's a good candidate. So they grabbed him. And then but he was, as he's carrying the palanquin, he's looking 3 steps ahead and he's seeing ants there. So he's like, he's not going to step on them. He's waiting for the ants to move out of the way. And so while he's doing this, it's causing the palanquin to sort of bob up and down. So then Maharaj Rahagana became very angry about this and started chastising the palanquin carriers and going, threatening them. And then they all said, no, it's not us. We're doing our job. It's this new guy here. He's causing trouble, So the Maharaj Rahagana chastised him and threatened him, and then they continue walking along, but still he's doing it again. He's not going to step on the ants. So then the king then said, this is in Canto 5, Chapter 10, Text 7. Therefore, when the king saw that the palanquin was still being shaken by the carriers, he became very angry and said, "You rascal, what are you doing? Are you dead despite the life within your body? Do you not know that I am your master? You are disregarding me and are not carrying out my order. For this disobedience, I shall now punish you just as Yamaraja, the superintendent of death, punishes sinful people. I shall give you proper treatment so that you will come to your senses and do the correct thing." Thinking himself a king, King Rahugana was in the bodily conception that was influenced by material nature's modes of passion and ignorance. Due to madness, he chastised Jarabharata with uncalled for and contradictory words. Jarabharata was a topmost devotee and the dear abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although considering himself very learned, the king did not know about the position of an advanced devotee situated in devotional service, nor did he know his characteristics. Jarabharata was the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He always carried the form of the Lord within his heart. He was the dear friend of all living beings, and he did not entertain any bodily conception. He therefore smiled and spoke the following words. And this is now the verse that I wanted to speak on in connection with the idea of realizing that I am not the doer, that I am separate from my body. So here he states, the great Brahmana Jarabharata said, "My dear king and hero, whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true." So the king had spoken very sarcastically to Jarabharata, and he'd actually said to him, King Rahugana told Jarabharata, "How troublesome this is, my dear brother. You certainly appear very fatigued, because you have carried this palanquin alone without assistance for a long time and for a long distance. Besides this, due to your old age, you have become greatly troubled. My dear friend, I see that you are not very firm, nor very strong and stout. Aren't your fellow carriers cooperating with you?" He's being like totally sarcastic. You know, Jarabharata is very young and strong, very stout. Right? And he's the one not cooperating with the other palanquin carriers. In this way, the king criticized Jarabharata with sarcastic words. Yet despite being criticized in this way, Jarabharata had no bodily conception of the situation. He knew that he was not the body, for he had attained his spiritual identity. He was neither fat, lean, nor thin, nor had he anything to do with a lump of matter, a combination of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and mind, intelligence, and false ego. He had nothing to do with the material body, with its 2 hands and legs. In other words, he had completely realized his spiritual identity, Aham Brahmasmi. He was therefore unaffected by this sarcastic criticism from the king. Without saying anything, he continued carrying the palanquin as before. So, returning to what Jarabharata, how he replied to the king, "My dear king and hero, whatever you have spoken sarcastically is certainly true. Actually, these are not simply words of chastisement, for the body is the carrier. The load carried by the body does not belong to me. For I am the spirit soul. There is no contradiction in your statements, because I am different from the body. I am not the carrier of the palanquin. The body is the carrier. Certainly, as you have hinted, I have not labored carrying the pelican, for I am detached from the body. You have said that I am not stout and strong, and these words are befitting a person who does not know the distinction between the body and the soul. The body may be fat or thin, but no learned man would say such things of the spirit soul. As far as the spirit soul is concerned, I am neither fat nor skinny. Therefore you are correct when you say that I am not very stout. Also, if the object of this journey, and the path leading there were mine, there would be many troubles for me. But because they relate not to me, but to my body, there is no trouble at all. Fatness, thinness, bodily and mental distress, thirst, hunger, fear, disagreement, desires for material happiness, old age, sleep, attachment for material possessions, anger, lamentation, illusion, and identification of the body with the self are all transformations of the material covering of the spirit soul. A person absorbed in the material bodily conception is affected by these things, but I am free from all bodily conceptions. Consequently, I am neither fat nor skinny, nor anything else you have mentioned. My dear King, you have unnecessarily accused me of being dead, though alive. In this regard, I can only say that this is the case everywhere, because everything material has its beginning and end. As far as your thinking that you are the king and master, and are thus trying to order me, this is also incorrect, because these positions are temporary. Today you are a king, and I am your servant. But tomorrow the position may be changed, and you may be my servant, and I your master. These are temporary circumstances created by providence. My dear King, if you still think that you are the king and that I am your servant, you should order me, and I shall follow your order. I can then say that this differentiation is temporary, and it expands only from usage or convention. I do not see any other cause. In that case, who is the master and who is the servant? Everyone is being forced by the law of material nature. Therefore no one is master and no one is servant. Nonetheless, if you think that you are the master and that I am the servant, I shall accept this. Please order me. What can I do for you? My dear King, you have said, you rascal, you dull, crazy fellow, I am going to chastise you, and then you will come to your senses. In this regard, let me say that although I live like a dull, deaf, and dumb man, I am actually a self-realized person. What will you gain by punishing me? If your calculation is true, and I am a madman, then your punishment will be like beating a dead horse. They're saying you can't beat a dead horse. There will be no effect when a madman is punished. He is not cured of his madness. So, Jadabharata, a self-realized soul, is completely aware of his distinction and separation from his body. He's not identifying with the body at all. So, we can understand the philosophical idea, aham brahmasmi, but here Jadabharata, he's actually living it, fully aware of it, self-realized. So we can aspire to have such realization and consciousness. So anyway, I hope perhaps you may take encouragement to read Srimad Bhagavatam and the many wonderful pastimes that you can find throughout the different cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll continue on and finish chapter 2, text 19 next week. Okay, thank you very much. And tomorrow night I'm giving a class in Yoga Kirtan, Hawaii at 7 p.m. So you're welcome to come to that. It's an experience meditation program with a yoga wisdom talk. Okay. Haribol, thank you. Just waiting for our Kirtaniya to come.
Very good, everyone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare
Namaste.
Krishna. See you next time.